And there was heat. There was... I hate the fucking word heat. I hate that I use the word heat. There was petty interpersonal conflict.
Which show is this? This is the show that I announced you?
Before that. So that was September of 2022. May or March, can't remember, of 2022, I went down to Cowra because I was dropping off some gear. This was the weekend of the big floods, and I'd been told, if you're going to a wrestling show, always bring your gear. There might be a spot. So I brought my gear with me when I went down to Cowra to deliver this gear, which I had to deliver by a certain time to Barry Blake. And the floods happened, and somebody got washed out. Somebody was coming down from Newey. I don't want to say Adrian Axton because he was actually in the main event. It was somebody else whose name starts with an A.
Yeah.
And he wasn't there. And there was a spot for me that came up. And of course, I'm going to say yes to that because I want to wrestle. And by this point, I had learned, I had been at the Pro Wrestling Academy for 2 years. I'd been brought up to the class of wrestlers, if that made any sense.
Yeah.
And absolutely. It was, at some point, there will be a Green Dingo spot for you that will open up. Okay. When's that some point? At some point. What do I need to do to make sure it's me? At some point, it will open it up. So there was no information. So like, well, I got told how to approach wrestling by your coaches, by people here. I was instructed how to do this. I put that into practice. And I got back to the Professional Wrestling Academy after putting on a competent match that was safe, not getting injured, not taking moves I didn't know how to take. The match is fine. It's on my YouTube channel. You can watch it, and you can watch that, and you can get to the end of it and go, that was a wrestling match. Those two guys were new, but nothing bad happened. There was Kai Drake and Big Fudge found me after that. And they said, this was disrespectful to Robbie and disrespectful to Mick and disrespectful to your coaches that you have taken this before you got the box ticked. Imagine if you had taken this as a mixed martial arts fighter, you'd taken a fight before you were ready. And that clicked me the wrong way because at Prodigy MMA in Artarmon, I had been training for 6 weeks and a Sambo comp came up and Damien Jeffries came up to me and said, Alistair, there's a Sambo comp. You're going to lose, but we want to bring you because it's going to improve you and make you a better wrestler. Or a better fighter. And I said, yes. And I went to that Sambo comp and I lost, but then I made a big jump and I got way better. And the same thing happened with the wrestling. I was like, this is what it feels like to have a crowd respond to what I do. And I got better. I think that the closed nature of promotions, the closed nature of the relationships between those promotions, some of which is legitimate because some people have treated each other poorly, some people haven't paid each other. There's all this garbage going on. Some of it isn't. Some of it, which is written off as heat, a word which I dislike, is just petty shit from 10 years ago that doesn't fucking matter. And you need to have good relationships. You need to have people going out and gaining experience. You need to have your shit matches so that if you eventually book me on a PWA Black Label, I've got all my shit matches out of the way. I can have my good one. But this was not the attitude of the company. This is fine. This is the attitude that they're allowed to have. It has reached the point where my goal as a professional wrestler, which is to run one show in Australia, is not aligned with the goal of the Professional Wrestling Academy. The goal of the Professional Wrestling Academy is to produce wrestlers that get signed. Jack Bonza told me as much to my face at the last session that I attended. Those are two different things. So, now from May 2022 to November last year, I was treading water. I was like, maybe I can make this work. Maybe I can make this work. Maybe I can align my goals this way. That did not happen. I talked to JT. I talked to Robbie. I said, this is what I want to do. They were both like, we don't do that here. And so I am no longer with.
So what is it that you actually said you wanted to do?
I said I wanted to wrestle for as many other companies as I possibly could and get all my shit matches out of the way. Robbie told me, do what you want. And JT told me, I don't know why you feel uncomfortable about this. We encourage people to go other places. And I'm like, do you though? I have wrestled in other places. I do not feel like I did not receive encouragement. So, like, possibly we were talking past each other. Possibly I'm a big fucking idiot and I've dug myself a hole I'll never dig out of in terms of PWA. That's okay. I'm allowed to do that. But this was the attitude that I saw from the promotion. It was not the one that I have. And I quite frankly think that there were, between May 2022 and November, we had a whole show of people that you announced that weren't ready for PWA Black Label. But were they ready to wrestle? No, there was one person in there that definitely wasn't ready to wrestle. But was everybody else ready to wrestle on a show? There you go. And then we did another show after that, and everyone was even more ready to wrestle on another show. But we were not encouraged to go out and seek those relationships. And I do not think that is conducive to a good career as a professional wrestler. I don't think you can stay in the one place or in one little box. It's not going to lead you anywhere.
So, but what if you, like, because we see people from PWA getting booked on Slam, Newey Pro, Rock and Roll.
Well, let's look at Slam. Who owns Slam? Mikey Broderick. Who is Mikey Broderick in a grand faction with? Robbie Eagles. There is a series of relationships that are approved, that are ticked, that are okay to go across and work. But even Newey Pro, I've gone up to Newey Pro quite a few times. I've received the occasional pre-show booking from there. How many of those shows are in Sydney? How many of those shows are happening every weekend? How much of that? And the thing is, are PWA genuinely in competition for the same crowd that any other promotion in Sydney is chasing after? Not once. No. So there is no reason for a promotion that has 40 wrestlers comfortably holding on to any one of them, because they all want to come back. PWA is the place to work. You talk to people. Oh, shit, I'm throwing my earphones places. If there's anywhere to work in Australian professional wrestling in Sydney, people want to work on that show because it is the best produced. Is it not?
I mean,
EWA is catching up. They have enough money behind them to actually put on a good, solid show now with not at house lights. But that's twice a year.
I mean, PWA has the best production in the country, and without a doubt, and it's leveled up as well. Like
it's gotten better all the time.
A year or two, like those like overhead drone cameras and shit. Like that's not even done in wrestling. Like their production is on like above par on so many different levels. And if you look at indie wrestling around the world, there's no production like that.
Exactly. So everybody wants to work there. You're not going to lose anybody. You don't need to hold on to people the same way. But I think it is an attitude that is a holdover from an older time of professional wrestling, where you did need to hold on to people, where you were going to lose people. Yeah, I could be talking shit.
But that is an old school way of doing things. And I've heard of promoters like telling performers not to take bookings or not to do things like that. But I feel like if you're being trained by a certain place and you're at a particular level where you can go out and you can have a safe match, and if they say, hey, look, we have plans for you and we want to debut you as this XYZ type of character, great. Put on a hood, go out there and be, El Australian luchador or something. You know what I mean? Like
exactly.
There can be ways around.
If I felt there were plans for me, I would have stayed, if that makes any sense. But there were none, and that's okay. That's their prerogative as a promotion. But as a place that I am training to learn to wrestle, I am at a point where I am a competent wrestler. It's all right. Well, we're gonna ruin my reputation with martial arts gyms now. Pollitt's in Orange have trained some really good fighters. I've seen a few of them. I have rolled with a few of them. I have had sparring matches with a few of them. Not one of them has debuted as a fighter because Pollitt's has a very closed environment. I think that's a fucking waste. I think you're wasting those people's money. I think you're wasting those people's talent. It's a waste. And I don't think PWA is quite that bad, but you're definitely not as bad as Pollitt's in Orange. But I still feel we have wasted good wrestlers.
Do you feel like have you seen people leave the business altogether that could have been good?
Yeah. How many Green Dingoes have become actual wrestlers? If you look at the original roster of wrestlers, a few of them have gotten through, not all of them, and a bunch of them don't wrestle anymore.